Do you talk to your cat throughout the day, even when you know they can't understand a single word? Most owners do it without even thinking, and then feel a little embarrassed when they catch themselves. But here's what almost nobody realizes. Your cat isn't just hearing noise when you talk to them. Something is actually happening, physically and psychologically, every single time you speak to them. And the owners who talk to their cats the most tend to end up with cats who are calmer, more affectionate, and more attached to them than almost anything else can produce. These 7 things happen inside your cat, whether you realize it or not, every time you open your mouth around them. But the 7th one is the strangest, because if you talk to your cat every single day, something happens that doesn't happen with any other owner, and it's something your cat can never do with any other person ever again. Let's start from the beginning. 1. Your voice becomes the one sound they can pick out of anything. Newborn kittens can't see or hear much of anything for the first few days of life, but within just a couple of weeks their hearing develops into something remarkable, far sharper than yours will ever be. And in that early window, something important happens. Your cat's brain starts building a sound map of their world, and the voices that show up most consistently in that map get filed differently than everything else. This is why cats can tell the difference between their owner's voice and a stranger's voice, even from another room, even without seeing a face. Researchers studying vocal recognition in domestic cats found that cats respond more strongly, turning their head, flicking an ear, sometimes even vocalizing back when they hear their own owner's voice compared to an unfamiliar one, saying the exact same words in the exact same tone. Your cat isn't recognizing language, they're recognizing you. Every single day you talk to your cat, you're reinforcing that sound signature. You're telling their nervous system again and again, this voice means safety. This voice means home. Over months and years, that voice recognition doesn't fade, it sharpens. Which is part of why a cat who hasn't seen their owner in days will often perk up and call out the second they hear that specific voice again, even before they see them walk through the door. 2. They start reacting to how you say it, not what you say. Here's something most people get backwards. Cats aren't decoding your vocabulary, they're decoding your prosody, the rhythm, pitch and melody of your voice. And once you understand this, talking to your cat every day becomes a lot more powerful. A high, soft, slightly musical tone reads to a cat as non-threatening, almost like the sound another cat might make during a calm, friendly interaction. A flat, low, clipped tone reads as tense or alert, even if the words themselves are perfectly gentle. This means the actual content of what you say to your cat matters far less than most owners think. You could read them a grocery list in a warm, sing-song voice, and your cat would relax. You could say, "I love you," in a sharp, hurried tone, and your cat would tense up. Owners who talk to their cats daily without realizing it tend to naturally settle into a consistent vocal pattern with them, softer around mealtimes, gentler before bed, slightly playful during activity. Your cat learns to predict what's about to happen based purely on the tone you're using, long before anything else gives it away. That predictability is enormous for a cat's sense of security. A world that makes sense, even in small ways, is a world a cat doesn't have to feel guarded in. 3. Their stress hormones actually shift when you talk to them. This one surprises most owners the first time they hear it. Talking to your cat isn't just a nice habit, it has a measurable physical effect on their body. Cats, like most mammals, produce cortisol, a stress hormone, in response to uncertainty, unfamiliar sounds, or unpredictable environments. Consistent, calm human voices have been associated in behavioral studies with lower observed stress indicators in cats, including reduced hiding behavior and fewer stress-related grooming patterns. The theory behind this is straightforward. A familiar, steady voice acts as an anchor. It tells your cat's nervous system that the environment is under control, that nothing sudden or dangerous is about to happen, because the same predictable sound keeps showing up. This is especially noticeable in situations that would normally spike a cat's anxiety. A vet visit, a thunderstorm, a loud repair happening somewhere in the house. Cats who are used to being talked to regularly by their owner tend to settle faster in these moments when that same owner speaks to them calmly, compared to cats who rarely hear their owner's voice used this way. You're not just comforting them in the moment, you're drawing on a pattern you've already built, day after day, long before the stressful moment ever happened. 4. Talking to them daily teaches your cat that you notice them. Cats are far more socially aware than they get credit for, and one of the things they track closely is attention. Not affection specifically, attention, being noticed, acknowledged, responded to. When you talk to your cat as you walk past them, when you narrate what you're doing in the kitchen, when you greet them by name when they enter the room, you're sending a very specific signal. I see you. You register to me. This might sound abstract, but it has real behavioral consequences. Cats who receive consistent verbal acknowledgement from their owners tend to display fewer attention-seeking behaviors overall, less excessive meowing, less knocking things off counters, less pacing near their owner, not because they've been trained not to, but because the underlying need, being noticed, is already being met regularly through something as simple as talking. Cats who are largely ignored verbally, even in homes where they're well fed and physically cared for, often escalate their behavior to get the same result. A cat who never gets acknowledged with a simple "hey there" when they walk into a room may eventually learn that knocking a glass off the table gets the same attention, just faster. Talking to your cat every day isn't just pleasant. It's quietly doing the job of an entire category of behavior management without you ever having to correct anything. 5. Your cat starts developing their own way of talking back to you. Here's something that tends to surprise people. Adult cats almost never meow at each other. In feral and semi-feral cat colonies, adult cats communicate primarily through body language, scent marking, and occasional hissing or yowling during conflict. Meowing, the sound most owners associate most strongly with cats, is largely reserved for one specific relationship: cat to human. Researchers studying cat vocalization believe meowing developed, or at least intensified, specifically because it works on us. Humans respond to meowing the way we respond to the cries of human infants, and cats appear to have adapted their vocal behavior over generations of domestication to exploit that response. In other words, your cat's meow isn't some universal cat language. It's a tool they developed largely just for you. And here's where daily talking changes the equation. Cats who are talked to regularly tend to develop a noticeably wider vocal range with their specific owner, more varied meows, chirps, trills, and even conversational back and forth patterns compared to cats in quieter households. It becomes something closer to a genuine exchange. You talk, they respond, you respond to that response. Over time, this builds an actual communication loop, one your cat is actively participating in and shaping, not just reacting to. If any of this is changing how you think about those one-sided conversations you have with your cat throughout the day, tap that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand what's actually happening behind these small daily moments. 6. Going quiet around them can feel like something is wrong. This is the flip side that most owners never think about. If talking to your cat regularly builds a sense of safety and predictability, what happens when that stops? Cats are creatures of pattern. When a consistently talkative owner suddenly goes quiet, whether from stress, illness, grief, or simply a busy stretch of life, cats often notice the shift faster than most people expect. Some cats respond by becoming more clingy, following their owner from room to room, meowing more insistently, almost trying to reopen a channel that's gone unusually silent. Others withdraw, spending more time alone, as if the quiet has changed the emotional temperature of the home and they're responding by keeping a lower profile. This doesn't mean you need to worry every time you have a quiet day. Cats are resilient, and short stretches of silence aren't harmful. But it does explain why cats can seem unusually clingy or unusually distant during periods when their owner is going through something difficult and talking less than usual. Your cat isn't reading your mind. They're reading the absence of a pattern they've come to rely on. One small piece of a routine that, without you realizing it, has been holding their sense of stability together. 7. Eventually, they develop a voice that exists only with you. Remember at the start, when I said something happens on day after day of talking to your cat that can never happen with any other person ever again, this is it. Because meowing is directed almost entirely at humans, and because cats adapt their vocalizations to what gets a response, cats who are talked to consistently by one specific person often develop meows, chirps, and vocal patterns that are unique to that relationship, not a generic cat sound. A specific dialect shaped entirely by the back and forth between the two of you, built up meow by meow, conversation by conversation over months and years. This is why a cat can sound almost like a different animal with a stranger compared to how they sound with their owner. Quieter, more reserved, more generic sounding with someone they don't talk to regularly, and then wildly expressive, chatty, almost performative, with the one person who's been responding to them daily for years. That specific vocal relationship, the one only the two of you share, doesn't transfer. A new owner, however loving, starts from zero. They have to build their own version from scratch, meow by meow, day by day, exactly the way you did. So the next time you find yourself narrating your grocery list to your cat, or greeting them by name every time you walk into a room, know that you're not just talking into the void. You're building something that only exists between the two of you, one conversation at a time, and it's one of the only things in your cat's entire life that belongs exclusively to you.